Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to our severe weather briefing for the severe weather we expect to unfold tonight into tomorrow, just to give you an idea of what the current thinking is and what we expect to happen. But before I do that, I would just like to ask you again to please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already done so, as that really helps us. And we'd also really appreciate it if you would consider becoming one of our Patreon sponsors. You can go to our website at www.nmscas.org. Hit the drop-down menu and go to All Access, and you'll see what all plans we have and what they offer. All right, well, let's start and get into it. This graphic here is from the Storm Prediction Center. It's their idea of what to expect tornado-wise late tonight. And the green area is 2%, brown is 5%, yellow is 10%. And what that means, they take the yellow area, they expect there to be a 10% chance of a tornado touching down within 25 miles of any given point in that yellow area. And then obviously the brown would be a 5% chance of a tornado within 10 miles of any given area, and so forth. So they're not expecting any strong tornadoes with this tonight. There's no hatched area, but could be, we're not really expecting a lot of discrete cells, which we'll get into that in a little bit later, but could have some spin up tornadoes as the line pushes through during the overnight hours. All right, this graphic is for severe wind expected tonight. And the red area in this is 30%, so a 30% chance of severe winds in this area within 10 miles of any given point. But I also want to draw your attention to that hatched area. That's an area where they expect there could be significant severe winds, up to possibly 75, even 80 miles an hour. So while in the red area you have a 30% chance of any severe wind within a given point, in that black hatched area, they're saying there's a 10% chance those winds could be significant severe and not just barely severe. So this is going to primarily be a straight line wind event, but there will be a chance of a few tornadoes. So now as we go into the morning hours on Tuesday, here's the Storm Prediction Center thinking for severe weather. Once again, this is tornadoes. And as you can see, southeast Mississippi is in the enhanced risk with the yellow for 10% chance of a tornado. And then you see over in Alabama and Georgia, they now have a hatched area where they expect conditions could be favorable over there for a significant tornado, which by their definition, anything EF2 or stronger. So not expecting any of that in Mississippi. We're just fortunate coming through during the wrong time, not taking advantage of peak daytime heating. So hopefully all the really strong ones, hopefully nobody will get them, but looks like hopefully Mississippi will dodge the bullet altogether. All right, this graphic is for severe wind, like it was the other one. You can notice in this one a large area of red, which is 30% chance of severe wind, but no hatched area this time. So they're not thinking to be substantial severe winds, just more in the 60, 65, maybe 70 miles an hour in the strongest storm. So loses a little bit of his wind punch, may pick up a little bit of a tornado punch. All right, this graphic is from the National Weather Service. This is their thinking for the timing for the storms tomorrow. And as you can see, they got them coming across the river about 3 a.m. and affecting portions of the Delta between 3 and 7. Then in the central part of the state between 6 and 10. And then finally starting to exit the state around lunchtime, a little after. So now what I'd like to also do is look at some of the simulated radars. Now these are not accurate. These are not gospel, I guess. They're simulated radars from the HRRR model, HRRR, which stands for High Resolution Rapid Refresh. Very good model for short-term events, picking up what goes on. And as you can see here, this is at 4 a.m. and you're starting to see, just for lack of better terms, I'll get this out in a minute, a mess up in North Mississippi along the 82 corridor, and then some more broken when you get down into central and south Mississippi. But the one thing I want to draw your attention to in central and south Mississippi are those little individual storms that are popping out ahead of the main line or the convective mess up north. Those, if they develop, would be your main tornado threat. They're the discrete supercells, and they will have their best chance of producing a tornado should one develop. All right, we'll jump ahead a little further to 6 a.m. and you can now see the line has become a little more solidified, not as many discrete cells ahead of it. Maybe one a little north of Hattiesburg, where you see that little purple blob. But I also want to call your attention to the little purple blobs within the line. That is embedded supercell structures within the thunderstorm line. And those would be the ones where if you wanted to see a spin-up tornado within the line, those would be your best areas where to see it. Now, again, just if one of these blobs is over your house does not mean you're going to have a severe thunderstorm, possibly producing a tornado at 6 a.m. It's just showing you this is what to expect. Somewhere in that line, there will be embedded supercell structures. But I do want to point out to also, you'll see it's trying to show some up around the Choctaw-Tibahaw County line. I don't think those are going to be severe if they even develop up there. Yes, they will have heavy rain. Yes, could have some strong gusty winds, maybe some small hail. But I think they're going to have a hard time going severe. And the reason is our dew points in this area just aren't going to be very high if this model run verifies. Basically, for severe weather, especially this time of year, you want dew points in the mid to upper 60s. And as you basically see, that's going to be along the southwest of a Greenville to Meridian line. Where those storms were developing up near Starkville area, dew point's going to be in the mid 50s, and it's just really hard to get a thunderstorm to go severe because there's just not enough moisture to work with, too much dry air. Not saying it couldn't happen, and it could also be that the more higher dew points make it further north. So that's just something we've got to watch, but as right now, that's why we really think it's going to be confined to central and primarily South Mississippi. All right, now we move on now to 11 a.m. and as you can see, the broken line of severe storms is almost completely pushed out of the state. Only exception would be the extreme right on the Gulf Coast. Still a possible few supercell structures there, but all that rain you're seeing back between Hattiesburg and Natchez could be heavy rain, but no severe threat with it at all. It's just rain. Your severe threat is now pushed out of the state. And I also wanted to show you this graphic of why I'm thinking it's going to be primarily down to South Mississippi. If you happen to have seen my video a few weeks ago on severe weather parameters and how to forecast severe weather, you heard me mention a hodograph. And that's what these little lines are all over the map. And what it is, it's a graphical representation of the wind shear present in the atmosphere that storms have to work with. And from that video, if you've watched it or you haven't, the shape you want for sustained severe weather, especially tornadoes, is a big looping, counterclockwise turning hodograph. And as you can see, a lot of those on this map fit that description. So we will have wind shear in the present tomorrow that would support severe weather. But what is missing, especially in central and north Mississippi, is instability in fuel. And that's measured by CAPE, or convective available potential energy. It's basically just a measure of how much juice or instability do the storms have to work with to do what they do. And as you can see, that is really confined down to extreme South Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama, and then into the Florida Panhandle. And even those values at 1,000 to 1,500, they're sufficient, but they're not anything just eye-popping as far as CAPE goes. But then once you get above that, you're looking at 400 or 500 and even less. So that's why if those storms develop up around the Starkville area or along the Highway 82 corridor, if this level of CAPE verifies, I just don't think they'll have enough juice to go severe. I've been wrong before. It'll probably happen again, but I don't see it for this event. All right, this last map I want to show you is the model's thinking of updraft helicity. Basically, it's trying to decide where the best environment is for storms to have sustained rotating updrafts. And like I said, you see that one up around the I-55 corridor. I think that's Attala County. I don't think that's going to happen unless the instability makes it a lot further north, but you can see most of them are confined down south of I-20. And again, if one of these areas of helicity is going over your house, that does not mean there's going to be a tornado or severe storm going over your house. It's just this one run of one model of where it thinks the best ingredients come together for a rotating storm to develop. And as you can see, they're mainly concentrated again down in central and south Mississippi. It does look like it's maybe showing one cyclic supercell going up just south of Meridian. And what I mean by that, you can see the updraft helicity starts at light blue, it goes yellow and red where it reaches maximum intensity, then it'll weaken, then it'll cycle back up and get strong again. And you can see that doing that 4 or 5 times. So that would be, if something like that did develop anywhere on this map, that would be your best indication of where a tornadic supercell could form. But again, just because it's over your house, the next run to probably have it taken out. I've seen it move 70, 80 miles. So it's just giving you a general idea of where things might happen, not where they will happen. All right, that's it for the thunderstorm, like I said, scenario for tonight and tomorrow. This should all be over by about lunchtime tomorrow. But then we do have another severe threat on the horizon for Wednesday. The Storm Prediction Center has issued an enhanced risk for a lot of Alabama and Georgia in that red shaded area. Now this is just their severe breakdown. At 3 days out, they don't differentiate between tornadoes, hail, or severe wind. It's just a severe threat. So most of East Mississippi looks to be in the slight risk area, and then Alabama and Georgia in the enhanced risk. So a little too early to be thinking about what the specifics are on this, but odds are could be a tornado threat, mainly probably another wind threat, but something we'll keep an eye on as we get closer to it. Once we get past this event tonight and tomorrow, then our focus will turn to Wednesday, and we'll just see how things play out. So that about does it for today. I hope you found this informative and have a way to get warnings tonight, especially because, you know, severe weather is extremely dangerous at night. Have some way to get warnings because you're asleep, you're not watching TV. Somehow to wake you up, whether that's your phone or weather radio, which is preferred, but some way to do this. And we will talk to you again soon.